I was a Marine. I defended our embassy in Iraq.
I was in the Army. I was a combat photographer in Somalia.
We did a lot of good over there.
I saw a fellow soldier save the life of a child.
That's why I'm still serving.
And that's why I'm still serving.
These are the stories of true American heroes, of men and women who served in the U.S. Armed Forces, veterans now, still serving their fellow Americans. Meet Bill Gray, an Army veteran, volunteer, and the chairman of the Vietnam Veterans Commission for Montgomery County, Maryland, part of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Drafted into the service at 19, Gray planned on being a photographer. Along the way, he found another opportunity that took him to new heights.
I joined the Army for photography and went in August of 1966. When I was in basic training, there was a big push on for OCS, Officer Candidate School. And my dad had been in the Army during World War II, and he suggested if I have the opportunity to go to OCS, I should. I applied to OCS and was accepted. I went through AIT, Advanced Individual Training, and for me it was Advanced Infantry Training out in Fort Lewis, Washington. Came back to Fort Benning, Georgia, went through Infantry Officer Candidate School, and across from our barracks was the jump school training section with the 250-foot towers. I said, I got to do that. So I received my second lieutenant bar, butter bar, I've since been told, and went immediately to jump school. I was in the 82nd Airborne at Fort Bragg, North Carolina for 10 months, and then got my orders for Vietnam. I got there in November '68, and when I got there, well, actually, before I got there, we got off the plane, and it was, again, hurry up and wait. And actually, the small world, while in OCS, we had peer rating sessions. I don't know what else to say. And the guy who was my roommate was, the majority felt that he would not make a good second lieutenant. So he was told to leave OCS. I don't know how else to say it. Well, while I was, before I got to my unit, the 4th Infantry Division, somewhere along the line, I ran into this guy, and he was a Spec 4, Specialist 4th Class, Specialist, we call him now. And it was interesting to see him. And when I came home from Vietnam and here in Maryland, and I've been to the wall many a time, I decided to look up this first guy, Weiss, and also I guess we split the time in OCS in half. We were there for 6 months. So I looked up my second roommate. Both of those guys were killed over there. One guy was a Spec 4 and the other guy was a first lieutenant. So that brought it home to me all the more, how lucky I was. Once I was assigned to my unit, I was not sent out to the field immediately as a platoon leader. I was asked, told, whatever, to do a reportive survey. And that, it was a little investigation. There was a Jeep and a trailer and some equipment that had been assigned to the battalion I was in, and I don't remember now, but it was taken from where we were in Pleiku in the Central Highlands toward the southern part of the country. So I was given some kind of information, and I followed it up, and I was able to find the equipment.
Later, Bill was shot in the right leg where North Vietnamese soldiers overran his platoon. Although injured, Bill made sure all of his soldiers were evacuated to safety before he left the camp. Bill was awarded a Silver Star for his bravery that day. After the Vietnam Wall was built, it quickly became a source of closure for him. Visiting the wall allowed Bill to pay homage to his fallen brothers in arms.
I went down to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall shortly after it was built and used that as my wailing wall. And I lost 6 men from my platoon, so I'd say hello to them a couple of days after I was wounded. My company commander was killed, and so he's somebody else I'd say hello to when I get down there.
At the Vietnam War Memorial, he would meet other Vietnam veterans also seeking the closure they needed to continue living, when so many fallen soldiers close to them never made it home.
When I first came back and started working, I guess I worked for the post office for a while, and then I started doing home improvements with another Vietnam vet. And I guess at one point I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I'd come down to the wall and always had a good feeling. I'd meet some vets down here and we could commiserate, and just being with some of these vets was good. At the wall I met a couple of the volunteers, and one woman in particular had told me about the group that she worked with washing the wall on a monthly basis. And I never gave it any thought. Hey, I'm a Vietnam vet, I should join this group and wash the wall. So pushing 40 years, 38 years later, I met a guy in Tacoma Park who had Vietnam vet license plate. And I do home improvements, and while I was working up the street from where he lived, I said, before I leave, I'm going to talk to this guy. And turned out Dave was the president of our local VVA chapter and said, one of the things we do is wash the wall. So I said, that's for me.
Taking his service a step further, Bill Gray began his work with the Vietnam Veterans Commission of Rockville, Maryland.
Well, I joined Vietnam Vets of America maybe 6 years ago, and when the commission was presented to the public, it was recommended, someone in our chapter recommended that I apply for the position. And I applied. There were about 40 people who applied for membership on the commission, and I was one of the ones selected. And I was shocked when I was given the nod by the county exec that I would be the chair. The first thing we were presented with was the renaming of the Rockville Library to the Rockville Memorial Library. Our first 4 or 5 meetings, we had Gold Star families come to the commission meetings and lobby us about this fact that they wanted to have the library renamed in honor of their loved ones. One guy was a poet in high school and wrote poetry while he was in, I don't remember, Iraq, Afghanistan. Another guy was, I think, out at Fort Lewis, Washington, and worked with kids in school out there, helping them, going into the classroom, helping them read. The woman whose husband was killed, Nikki Bunting, her husband, she and her 2-year-old son were at the library when the soldiers came to knock on her door to tell her that her husband had died. I'm still broken up by it. But Nikki was there with her son at the library. She never, I don't think she ever brought him to our commission meeting, but she had pictures of him and his dad. Her husband had been home on R&R, was gone. He was here for 2 weeks. They wanted to have additional kids. He was back in Afghanistan for 4 days and was killed. And she got pregnant while he was here, and he never knew he had another son. And so we, at first, the commission were kind of leery about going after this idea. And we talked about it more and said this is a fitting idea to recognize both immediately the veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, but all our veterans who have been killed. Vietnam, Iraq One, World War II, Korea. And so it was Veterans Day of 2009, the county exec said he would make the recommendation to the county council, and they voted to have the library changed the library name changed to Veterans Memorial Library. So Memorial Day, rather, 2010, the change was made. The signage was put up. We had speakers there, and so that was the first thing we've done.
The commission meets the third Thursday of each month near downtown Rockville. Bill has gotten to know a few families. One family, whose son also served in the 82nd Airborne, was kind enough to honor a request that Bill made.
Thinking about the Gold Star families who approached our commission when we first started, I've gotten to know a couple of the families, and actually on Memorial Day, one husband and wife were down to say hello to their son who was killed in Iraq in '06, and I asked if I could go with them, and it meant a lot to me. And their son was in the 82nd too.
He was in the
Yes, so that was near and dear to my heart.
Bill and other members of the Silver Spring chapter of the Vietnam Veterans of America get together on the first Saturday of each month to wash the Vietnam Wall. If you would like to volunteer, just show up around 6:30 a.m. near the Three Soldiers statue. Just ask for Bill Gray. Visit the website on the screen for more information about washing the wall or Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 641. Thank you for watching Still Serving.
It's just, as I just said, it's an opportunity for those of us who are veterans to work with and for the veterans who have come home, and some of them put their lives on hold. Some of them haven't left the war they were in.